10 greatest black lightweights of all times, in my opinion, must include Jack Blackburn. I'm Scrapbook Boxing, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuff series. I want to talk about Jack Blackburn. He was introduced into the Boxing Hall of Fame as a trainer, and rightfully so. You're looking at a man who trained Sammy Mandel, Charles Bud Taylor, Joe Louis, Jersey Joe Walcott, and Lou Ambers, and many more. Let's look into the life and times of Sam Langford to find out whether he's worthy or not of being added to this list of the greatest black lightweights of all times. Now, Jack Blackburn was born 1883 in Kentucky. He was nicknamed Chappie, and Chappie was a name that would be passed on to his most brightest protege, the Brown Bomber, Joe Louis. He died April 24th, 1942 in Chicago, Illinois. He stood 5'10" and weighed 133 to 160 pounds. He would face Joe Gans, who was the current world lightweight champion 3 times. He would take on Sam Langford 6 separate occasions. Sam Langford was a 5-time colored heavyweight champion, a 1-time Mexican heavyweight champion, 1-time Australian heavyweight champion. He was a 1-time colored middleweight champion, and a 1-time European middleweight champion. He would take on Joe Burrell twice. He would take on a Philadelphia lightweight sensation, Dave Holly 5 times, Larry Temple twice, George Cole 3 times, the former world light heavyweight champion, Philadelphia Jack O'Brien, George Gunther 10 times, Harry Greb, who was a 1-time American light heavyweight champion and a 1-time middleweight champion. He would take on Kid Norfolk, who was a colored light heavyweight champion. He would also take on a colored welterweight and middleweight champion, Panama Joe Gans. He faced Theodore Tiger Flowers May 25th, 1923, 12-round no decision contest in Toledo, Ohio. Now, who was Theodore Tiger Flowers? He was known as the Georgia Deacon. He was born August 5th, 1895 in Camilla, Georgia. He would die November 16th, 1927 in Midtown, New York. Now, he stood 5'10" and weighed 157 to 150 or 69 pounds, 169 pounds. He was managed by Walk Miller. And Tiger Flowers would become the first black middleweight champion of the world when he defeated Harry Greb in New York's Madison Square Garden, the first to ever do it, in 1926. He would also take on Pete Latzo and Allentown Joe Gans, James Tuck Jackson, and Baling Geehee, Sam Langford, Panama Joe Gans, Lee Anderson, Kid Norfolk, Maxie Rosenblum. Many of these men were champions in their own right. In fact, when he took on Lee Anderson, he was taking on Lee Anderson for the first ever colored light heavyweight championship title. He would come up short, and Lee Anderson would then become the champion, and Lee Anderson would take on Kid Norfolk William Ward. But Jack Blackburn was a superb fighter. He has a magnificent story. But most people know him for training the Brown Bomber, my opinion, number 1 greatest heavyweight champion. That's just in my personal opinion. And he taught Joe Louis the tricks of the trade. Now, Dave Holly out of Philadelphia was somewhat of a rival for Jack Blackburn, who also spent many years in Philadelphia. And Jack Blackburn would first meet Dave Holly May 4th, 1903. He would have a draw, a newspaper decision, at the Sporting Club in Philadelphia. November 21st, 1903, he would fight him again at the National Athletic Club in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. August 26, 1904, he would take him on once again. In 1905, they would fight a no-decision contest. January 10th, 1906, Blackburn would defeat Holly at the National Sporting Club in Wilmington, Delaware. And it reminds me of his bouts with Sam Langford. He faced Sam Langford on 6 separate occasions. He would take on other contemporaries such as George K.O. Sampson and Joe Burrell, many occasions. One round Sylvester and Eddie Palmer. He would take on a former middleweight champion, Professor Mike Donovan, October 18, 1907. He fought him in Philadelphia. It seemed like that was a hometown for Jack Blackburn. He would face George Gunther and Terry Morton. Jim Barry several times. Jim Barry would be an opponent for a very good fighter. In fact, I have him ranked number one as the greatest fighter, Sam Langford. Fought him 12 separate occasions. And Sam Langford would defeat Jim Barry every time he fought him. He would take on George Cole January 1st, 1907 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania at the National Athletic Club. When he took on Cy Flynn September 30th, 1908, the referee stepped in and declared it a no contest because he felt both men were stalling. Now, Jack Blackburn was a tough young man during his day, and he would be convicted for manslaughter, 1909, 1914. He was supposed to do at least 15 years. He would wind up doing 6 years or probably 5 years time in the slammer because he shot a man. And when he shot a man, his common law wife was hit pretty badly by the wife of the man he shot. So he rushed his wife to the hospital, common law wife. He forgot that he left his revolver on the scene. As he went back to the scene to get his revolver, the policeman, a black cop, was there, and he nabbed Jack Blackburn. Jack Blackburn would do some time. He would do less time because he would train the judge's son how to box. So they took some time off his sentence. And he would get out of jail. He would continue his boxing career. Now, he would first meet Joe Gans on the night of November 2nd, 1903. Joe Gans was at that time the world lightweight champion. He would meet him again March 25th, 1904. Blackburn lost to Joe Gans. They fought in Baltimore, Maryland. He lost on points. December 31st, 1903. He was a light welterweight, 142 pounds in today's standards. And Blackburn would lose in 1907. He fought him at Chelsea Atlantic Club in Boston, Massachusetts. Then he fought him again January 8th, 1904. And they would call it a draw. It was scheduled for 15 rounds. And Blackburn would also take on Sam Bolden. Now, I mentioned that he fought a fighter by the name of George Gunther 10 separate occasions. He fought him January 31st, 1906, January 3rd, 1906, December 6th, 1907. Fought him several times. And these two men would go at it. But when he met Harry Lewis, November 1907, November 20th to be exact, he had over 3,000 spectators to witness this event. Harry Lewis was called Harry Hairpin Lewis, and he had a very unique style. And these two men would mix it up. It would make for a very entertaining match. He would lose in 1905 to light heavyweight champion Philadelphia Jack O'Brien, June 1908. And Philadelphia Jack O'Brien was a clever young man, but in 1911 he would lose himself to Sam Langford in 6 rounds. He'd be stopped. It would be a no contest, or no decision contest, if you will. But he would lose to Sam Langford. So in my opinion, Jack Blackburn definitely belongs on his list. He is underrated. And it's just unfortunate he is not in the Boxing Hall of Fame as a fighter as he is as a trainer. Like I said, he definitely belongs to be in the Boxing Hall of Fame as a trainer, but why not as a fighter? I listened to you some great names he was in the ring with. He fought Gunboat Smith, Eddie Gunboat Smith, May 1914. And Ed Gunboat Smith understood boxing. He was in a ring with Kid Norford, who would wind up becoming the colored light heavyweight champion. Met him June 22nd, 1920. 1923 as well. What a fighter was Jack Blackburn. He even faced Harry Greb later on in his career. But when he fought Harry Greb wasn't champion at this point in time. But Harry Greb was mixing it up with a lot of veteran fighters as well. And so I want to salute Jack Blackburn for his contribution to the game. Not only was he a phenomenal trainer, training the names that I have provided for you in this opening video. He would train Joe Louis, and he would train Jersey Joe Walcott. And when Jack Blackburn passed away in 1942 in Chicago, he knew of one heavyweight champion that he was responsible for. He didn't know of two. When Joe Louis became the heavyweight champion in 1937, Comiskey Park, when he knocked out Jimmy Braddock, he held that title until 1949. Now, Jack Blackburn is not going to know how long he held the title. He passed away in 42. But he also didn't know that the other fighter he would train as a heavyweight would be Jersey Joe Walcott. And he would become the heavyweight champion of the world in 1951 when he would knock out Ezzard Charles. What an amazing contribution that Jack Blackburn would make. I'm Scrapbook Boxing, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuff series. All great fights, all great fighters would never be forgotten on my channel. Thanks for watching. Peace.